Hey guys, so welcome back to my channel. This video is going to be a little bit different, but yeah, it's a little bit different because I want to talk about Game of Thrones. So I started watching Game of Thrones at the end of season 4 and I caught up all 4 seasons in about 2 weeks. I was literally like not sleeping to do it. I got really obsessed after people's recommendations. And obviously Monday is the return of the final season. I'm a little bit emotional, if I'm honest, but I wanted to talk about theories because there are so many fan theories and I love to talk about them to people at work, but people don't seem to be quite as involved in these as I am. So I just wanted to have a little rant or a discussion to you guys, even though no one's watching, about some of the theories that are out there, whether I think they're likely to happen. So yeah, but warning. If you are not fully caught up with Game of Thrones up till the end of season 7, this post or video may contain spoilers, probably will contain spoilers, and I don't want to be responsible for that. The rule of Game of Thrones is that you don't spoil it for other people, so don't watch this video if you're not up to date. Okay? Agreed? Done. So, my first one, so I've got little printouts here with everything. So, my first one is that Samuel Tarly has been telling the Game of Thrones the entire time. I quite like this one, but there's bits of it that I don't like. So I don't like the idea that this is all going to end, all these 8 seasons, with someone just telling a story. I mean, it's an epic story, but I'm not sure I'm happy with that style of ending. I just sort of want it to be dramatic. Like, you know when you get to the end of a film and it's like, oh, at the end, someone was telling that story to their grandkids or something. That's boring, that's been done. Like, don't want that to happen. But I quite like the idea that Sam is narrating it in a way. So basically, a while back in one of the series, Jim Broadbent, love him, as the Archmaester, told Sam that if you were going to write histories, you have to do the research. And he basically was saying, like, he didn't like the title, and he told, oh no, wrong. So Sam told him he didn't like the title of his book that he was writing, The Chronicles of the Wars Following the Death of King Robert. And Sam said, do something more poetic, and so, like, is that suggesting like A Song of Ice and Fire, The Game of Thrones? Like, I'm not sure. But obviously they reckon, the theory is that Sam's going to write the story and the last scene is him going to be putting the book away after telling the story to someone like his grandkids. But they reckon that Sam, as the older Sam, will be played by George R.R. Martin. That's quite cool that he's going to make a cameo, but it's still a crap ending to all of these seasons. But the thing that makes people think this is that George R.R. Martin himself has often compared himself to Sam. I think the quote is, let me read it. He was asked which character he'd be, and he said, I would probably be Samuel Tarly. I love Sam too, he's a great character. Tyrion might be who I want to be, but Sam is probably closer to who I actually am. The fat kid who likes to read books and doesn't like to go up a lot of stairs. Maybe it's just coincidence, but that is theory 1. Moving on. Theory 2. I think is quite probable. So it's that Cersei is pregnant with Euron Greyjoy's baby. So facts are, the only man Cersei slept with on screen was Jaime. Incest, gross. But obviously Euron came to Cersei and wanted to be her king, and she collaborated with him to go and get the Golden Company, which is like the big army. So have they been getting it on elsewhere? It's part of their agreement. We don't know. There's some shots in the trailers that are sort of, they don't show it, it's a bit skeptical. And then there's also like the promo shots, I think her belly is covered, so watch this space. The next part of the theory is that Cersei might lose the baby in season 8. There's a shot in the trailer, this is a bit of a far-fetched claim that someone's been saying, or people have been saying, but they reckon an emotional Cersei looks on while holding the glass of wine. They reckon she could have given birth, She was never pregnant to begin with. She lost the baby. Like, you don't know. I mean, in the flashback in season 5, Cersei was granted 3 questions by Maggie the Frog in the woods of Casterly Rock. One of her questions concerned her children, and to which Maggie said, "The king will have 20 children and you will have 3. So was that about Robert's bastards and Jaime's children with her? Because obviously if it is, then she's not having another baby, is she? Because she already had 3 and they've all snuffed it. So I don't know. I'm not sure. But then again, does it count if she has a baby if she loses it? Like, if she's pregnant, I mean, I'd count that as still having a 4th child. But I'm not sure. But Cersei then brings me on to theory 3, which is that Jaime will kill Cersei. So this one was reported in Harper's Bazaar, but I've seen it all over the internet. It's based on the theory again about Maggie the Frog, that she receives the prophecy as a child, that she will marry the king, become the queen, have 3 children, watch all of them die. And in the books, it goes further, predicting that Cersei will die at the hands of the Volonqua. Volonqa? Not sure. But basically translated, it means little brother. So, how do we go with this? I mean, Tyrion could still do it, but also Jaime could do it. And I mean, Jaime's storyline is much more dramatic for the role, if that makes sense. Cersei and Tyrion don't get on, so one of them kills the other, not so much a big deal. Whereas Jaime, obviously, is lovers. He's just ridden off to go support the North and fight the White Walkers, and left Cersei up the duff, if she is, behind. So, I mean, he's known as the Kingslayer, so does he then become the Queenslayer? Like, I don't know. But yeah, that's the other theory, and I quite like it. But then I like this next bit more, that Arya is going to kill Cersei using Jaime's face. I mean, Arya's become a bit of a badass. I mean, it takes the Volonqua theory one step further, because obviously she is now faceless, so they reckon she will kill Jaime because he's gone up north, and she will use his face to kill Cersei. Like, I quite like that. I mean, Arya would then eliminate the last of the Lannisters. Kind of. Obviously Tyrion's still around, but that's in a theory later. So, oh, and also Arya gets to tick a name off her list if she does that. Back to my theories. So, the next one doesn't quite fit in with the last ones, but it's still about Jaime, so I've kept it all together. So, Jaime says to Brienne, after his confession for why he killed the Mad King, would you have kept your oath? So basically he was saying that he knew of the Mad King's plan to kill innocent children and people with the wildfire that he was obsessed with. He was saying, like, burn them all. So he was questioning Brienne, saying, would you have kept your oath in that circumstance? Since the big confession, Jaime sort of transformed on screen. He went from being selfish, intent of doing anything for his sister. Like, he pushed Bran out of a window, and it was all for his sister Cersei. So in the end of season 7, he obviously turned away and rode off into the snow, I think it was snow, to go battle against the White Walkers. And he was also equipped with Widow's Wail, which is his Valyrian steel sword that he took from Joffrey after his death. So this is a key point, I think. So it's one of the things that can kill the White Walkers. So I think Jaime is going to put his Kingslayer nickname to good use, and he is going to kill the Night King. I mean, I'd quite like someone else who's been more involved in this whole White Walkers thing, like Jon or Sam, for ages to do it. But, like, him being called the Kingslayer in series 1, is that a hint for series 8? Like, I just don't know. I mean, what happens if he sacrifices himself to kill the Night King? Like, they kill each other at the same time, and he redeems himself. I mean, I kind of like the idea that Jaime's going to do that, and that not all Lannisters are bad. But, hey, you never know. So, we've sort of discussed the Lannisters. They sort of crop up a little bit more. There's one about Tyrion a bit later. But my next one links back to Cersei again. So, back in season 1, Cersei speaks of her firstborn son, a black-haired beauty who died shortly after birth. I think this is Gendry. I don't think he died. I think something went on, I don't know what, but I don't think he died. So this one is about King Gendry. We know he's alive and well, but yeah, so, and we also learnt that Cersei said that her firstborn son looked like his father. But it obviously then also goes against the theory that she only had 3 children, because obviously if she if she mothered Gendry, then she'd have had 4. Because she'd have had Myrcella, Joffrey, Tommen and Gendry. So again, there's questions over this. There's links like, is the frog lady, is she right? But obviously that would make Gendry the rightful heir to the Iron Throne. And he's currently, in the trailer, he's making loads of weapons to help out this big fight that they're going to have. So I quite like this. And then also the top-up theory on this is that Robert Baratheon, obviously Gendry's father, in season 1, told Ned Stark, I have a son, you have a daughter, we'll join our houses. Now, at the time, we all think this was like Sansa and Joffrey, and they were going to be a match made in some really weird heaven. But what if it's Arya? What if Arya and Gendry get together? I mean, they know each other. I reckon Arya's badass enough for him, and he's like, he wants someone strong. Like, I reckon this is like the time. This is the time for Arya to be queen, because the irony is that she never wanted to be queen. She never wanted to be a girl like that sat and looked pretty. Sansa wanted to be the princess and the queen, and now it's gonna be Arya. I really like this theory. Or I kind of hope they get together. Like, he doesn't even have to be king. I just hope they get together, because Arya's been a bit lonely recently. So, throwing that all away. Still on the theme of kings though, the Night King. So, have you ever noticed the Night King doesn't have normal eyes? He has like stars in his eyes. And they're 7 points, which is the sign of, oh, what's it called? I'm trying to look at my notes here to see if I did it. But it's like the sign of the Faith of the Seven. So people think that this connects him to Simeon Star Eyes, who's a knight from the books who had star-shaped sapphires for eyes. I mean, coincidence, the Night King's eyes are blue as well. But Bran once explained that his knight had this knight, not his knight, had a long staff with blades at both ends, and he could spin it in his hands and chop 2 men at once. That's like the Night King with his spear, like, done. But, so now you've noticed this, if you look back in series, behind the throne, in the stained glass, is like the eye, the star is there. So, that's a reference to the Faith of the Seven, but if they're truly connected, the Night King could be the Stranger. So, in Game of Thrones, the Stranger is one of the 7 gods who represents death. So, I mean, the Night King kills everyone, and he's dead, or he's got an army of the undead. So, could this mean that the Night King is the Stranger / Simeon Star Eyes? There's got to be a link there. There really has. And then, this brings me on to my next theory that I actually hate. That Bran is the Night King. I mean, Bran is pretty rubbish, but, like, is he actually the Night King? So does he go back in time, in history, to stop the Night King being created, and, like, the early people, is that what they're called? I can't think of what they're called. But are they gonna find him, realise he's there from the future, capture him, and then plunge the glass into his heart to make the Night King? Is that how it happens? Like, does he try and stop it but actually cause it all at the same time? Because my theory is that he's going back in time and talking to the Mad King, and that's how the Mad King becomes mad, because he's hearing voices, but it's actually Bran. Because in one of the flashbacks, Bran said something, and the people, or the characters there, looked round, obviously hearing him but not seeing him. So is that why the Mad King's mad? Is that Bran? Like, don't mess in time. And then obviously doesn't he get told that, like, if you stay too far in the past or get too deep, you can't go back? So what if he gets captured and can't go back, and he becomes the Night King, because that's how they convert him? I'm not sure. But I mean, it's interesting, but also we've seen the Bran and the Night King together, so, like, can he go back in the past and see himself? Like, I'm not sure how that works. But in the recent trailer, all of the other siblings or the remaining Starks are seen in the crypt at Winterfell. Bran's not there. Like, what's he doing? Get back to help everyone. I mean, I know he's not gonna do much, but he's got all this knowledge. Because isn't it him that knows about Jon Snow's true Targaryen like background? Like, he needs to go and tell these people these things. So, I mean, I don't like it personally, but it is a big theory and it could come true, so that's why I'm talking about it here. But I just want to note that Isaac Hempstead Wright, who plays Bran, doesn't buy it either. But is this a double bluff? I'm not sure, but wanted to talk about it. Remaining on the Stark theory, my next one is that Sansa's definitely gonna die. Sorry Sansa, but I think it's true. So in the teaser trailer, you see them all in the crypts that I was just talking about. And when you look at the statues, Sansa's looks like Sansa, but Jon's looks old. I mean, this could be because, is it hard to put a beard on a statue? I don't know. I mean, but he looks old. So that supports the theory that she dies at her current age. But the theory sort of evolves that they think she's going to be killed like her dad, Ned. So in the first season, Ned gets his chopped off, R.I.P. Ned, and he tells Robert Baratheon, but before he gets his head chopped off, let me get my words out, before he gets his head chopped off, he tells Robert Baratheon, Winterfell is yours. In the trailer for the upcoming season, Sansa greets Daenerys with the exact same words, Winterfell is yours. So does this mean she's up to the same fate as Ned? Like, I don't really know. But Maisie Williams has said in Rolling Stone that everyone should pay attention to parallels between the first and the last seasons. So, could this be how she's going? I mean, Sansa's been a bit out of luck, and I mean, we'd be stupid to assume that all the characters from season 1 are going to make it to the end, because it's a big war, guys. It's not going to happen. But back to the season 1 thing. If you look at the promo posters for season 1, and for this season, Jon Snow is in the throne, sat exactly like Ned Stark in season 1 promo posters. Same hand position on the sword, same everything. So I don't know what this means, but I think there's definitely going to be some parallels. So I just spoke, next theory, I just spoke about Jon's Targaryen background that we know now. And now I want to talk about the fact that Tyrion is a Targaryen. And I truly believe this one. So in the episode called Home, Tyrion gets acquainted with Daenerys' dragons, which are locked up in the catacombs. He unchains them, and instead of actually roasting him to pieces like a chicken on a spit, they seem to take to him, they seem to like him. But why? So, Tyrion's mother, Joanna, died in birth with Tyrion. And it's always assumed that Tywin doesn't like him because he killed his mother. But the Mad King was actually, in fact, in the books, obsessed with Joanna. We haven't seen this in the show. But he's very, very obsessive over her. And in the books, he jokes about how it's a pity that the tradition of the first night, which allowed the king to sleep with new brides, was banned. And it was a source of friction between him and Tywin for quite a while. So those who knew Tywin and Joanna well said that Tywin only smiled when Joanna was present, and when obviously Joanna died giving birth to Tyrion, they say the best part of Tywin died with her. So that's probably why he was pretty grumpy and rubbish in all those other seasons. But if his love for Joanna was so great, why did he hate their son? Like, it doesn't make sense. That's a part of her to hold on to. His eldest son Jaime is a member of the King's Guard, so therefore cannot marry. And so Tyrion's the only one who can actually legitimately, like, carry on Tywin's name, the House Lannister. Like, they've been around for centuries and years and whatever, like, they're an established house. Why would they want to give that up? And Tywin constantly refuses to consider Tyrion his heir, which seems odd given his focus on, like, the legacy of the Lannisters. So Tywin says to Tyrion, "Men's laws give you the right to bear my name and display my colours. Since I cannot prove that you are not mine, to teach you humility, the gods have condemned me to watch you waddle about wearing that proud lion that was my father's sigil and my father's before him. I mean, it could be a grudge, but is it actually an acknowledgement that Tywin doesn't think Tyrion's his? What if the Mad King actually had his way with Joanna and they fathered a child? I mean, it's possible. In the world of Game of Thrones, anything's possible. But in the books, I also want to reference as well. So, Targaryens are famed for their silver hair and purple eyes in the books. Obviously, the show doesn't quite reflect this, but Tyrion's hair colour is described as a mixture of pale blonde that's almost white. Obviously, it's dirty blonde in the show. But that his eyes are also mismatched, one green and one black. Whereas both Jaime and Cersei have classic Lannister looks, which are green eyes and golden blonde hair. So how did he end up not looking like them in the books? I mean, Tywin and Joanna are first cousins, so that's pretty incestuous, like Jaime and Cersei, and all their kids ended up looking like identical to them. So I think it's true. And then my final quote is that Tyrion says to Jon, "When I was your age, I used to dream of having a dragon of my own. Oh yes, even a stunted, twisted, ugly little boy can look down over the world when he's seated on a dragon's back." Like, why was he so obsessed with dragons? I mean, in season 1, someone came up and said something about dragons. She was in the bathtub with Daenerys' brother, that I can't remember his name, and she said she dreamed of dragons, and then all of a sudden we had dragons like an episode later. So is this sort of like an acknowledgement that Tyrion is a Targaryen, and we're going to have the 3 dragon riders of Jon, Daenerys and Tyrion ruling the world. This also links slightly to as well the theory that Missandei, the red woman lady who can bring people back from the dead, is going to bring Viserion the dragon back from the Night King's dead spell. That he's going to connect with Daenerys and realise they're the mother and bring him back. And then we're going to have 3 dragon riders. Still not too sure about that. But while we are talking of dragons, I'm going to go on to the next theory. So that Jon has his own dragons in Winterfell. Because what's going to beat an undead army with 1 dragon? An alive army with 2 dragons plus possibly more. So this goes more on the books than the show, but I quite like the idea that it could come into this. So early into Targaryen rule, Prince Jacaerys is said to have made a deal with Lord Cregan Stark for his support in battle. A deal which people believe included an exchange of petrified dragon eggs, which were buried in the crypts of Winterfell. So people assumed the talking about Jon Snow. So obviously he's a key character, and I mean, I think it helps that Kit Harington is really quite attractive. But this is probably the saddest fan theory yet. So we know Jon is a Targaryen and he's just got with Daenerys, and she thinks she's like barren and she's a bit downhearted, and how they've got together and they've had a bit of fun time together, and yeah, they seem to be getting it on. But the theory is that Jon Snow is Azor Ahai, so he is the prince who was promised to defeat the White Walkers for good. So the theory states that Jon Snow is the prince who was promised, that is the reborn Azor Ahai, who is a legendary hero forced to sacrifice his wife Nissa Nissa by plunging a sword through her heart to unleash its true power. This is how the powerful sword Lightbringer was created for Azor Ahai to defeat the god of darkness, or the Great Other. The legend goes on to say that the prince who was promised will one day pull Lightbringer from the fire once more to complete the hero's journey. So, if Jon is in fact the prince who was promised, and if he falls into love with Daenerys and marries her, then this would make her Nissa Nissa. Per the legend of the forging of Lightbringer, Jon would need to sacrifice something he loved in order to create the sword. The sacrifice could very well be Daenerys, or potentially one of her dragons, because both would be considered fire. So obviously Lightbringer will pull the sword, or Lightbringer would be pulled from fire. So this is Daenerys, she's a Targaryen. This kind of links into another theory about Daenerys, while Jon Snow still knows nothing. So we know they've had sexy time together. So what if Daenerys is pregnant? I mean, the crazy lady, Miriam, who basically tried to bring Khal Drogo back, told her that he would come back when the sun rises in the west and sets in the east, and when the seas go dry and the mountains blow in the wind like leaves, when your womb quickens again and you bear a living child. So then he will return, and not before. So Daenerys thinks that she's never going to bear a child. She's just going to never have children again. However, when she informed Jon of the prophecy, he didn't believe it. He was like, nah, not true. But someone on Reddit thinks so. But he thinks that her and Jon's happiness will be short-lived. So technically, the theory is that she will never bear a living child. She'll be pregnant, Jon will know nothing, and he will kill her off, killing the baby at the same time and not know. And that's how he will bring the Lightbringer out to kill the Night King. So it'll be like a royal baby sacrifice that will bring light back to the world. Hence how she will never bear a living child, but she'll still bear a child. But it's a sad theory, and it's not one I like to know, but some big characters are going to die. I don't think Jon and Daenerys are going to live happily ever after on the throne. I mean, Jon doesn't want it, Daenerys really does, but I don't know. It's all a bit up and down, but I kind of hope it's not true. But it could be. I mean, where is this going with these two? We just don't know. And then I've got two more. My next one is about Ned Stark. So we all loved Ned in season 1. We all got attached, and then were all torn to pieces when he died. Someone I know at work is currently catching up, ready for season 8. And he came in after watching that episode and went, I'm done. I don't think I want to do anymore. He did. He's on season 7 and he's got 4 days to go. He's going to do it. But we loved good, dependable Ned. And he was executed after he uncovered the truth about the extent of Cersei and Jaime's incestuous relationship. But the fan theory is that Ned is still alive. Because they reckon Varys has helped him to survive by, when he was captured, putting him in a cell with Jaqen H'ghal. Obviously we know Jaqen H'ghal is a faceless man. So what if he swapped faces with Ned and Ned is still alive somewhere? Like, what if that's true? And what if really Ned has been the one guiding Arya as the faceless man? Like, my mind's blown. Like, what if that was Ned all along? Like, being a father to her, guiding her, helping her with revenge in a secret mission. But yeah, so this is sort of the theory that I like. Is he saved? Like, is he even smuggled out of the Red Keep with a different face? I just can't. Oh, it's exciting. But yeah, in the first book, both Sansa and Catelyn make comment about Ned's body not entirely resembling Ned's alive one. And Arya, who watches the execution from the crowds, confesses that her father appears to be so injured on the executioner's block that he barely looks alive. And what about that thing that Ned mutters under his breath right before he dies? Like, he says something but we don't hear it. Could it have been Valar Morghulis? Could it? I like this theory. But also, if he is alive and he's not been the faceless man, what's he been doing? When's he going to come back? Like, how's he going to do this? But I don't know. But this links me back to my theory about the poster. Like, if Ned's still alive, is Jon in the poster really resembling Ned coming back? I hope so. So many of these that I really want to come true, and they just can't all. So, and then my final and favourite theory, just because it's so out there. You think it has no connection, but wait. So, throughout the books, George R.R. Martin makes reference to things like White Walkers and dragons as mythical creatures He also references Merlings. So there's a few different things in the books, and as mysteries or tales told. So during her travels in Riverlands, Brienne hears about squishers, man-eating fish creatures that walk on 2 legs. I mean, I think it's Peter Baelish or Littlefinger who has a ship called the King Merling. So they're sort of referenced throughout the book, but they've not come true yet, and the others have. But back in the first book, Arya sees Varys and Illyrio ascend from the well in the Red Keep when she's trying to escape, I think it is. Tyrion also threatened to have Varys thrown into the sea, and he responded with, "You might be a little bit disappointed in the results. Storms come and go, the big fish eat the little fish, and I keep paddling." I mean, that also says if you're disappointed, you're gonna be disappointed if you throw someone in the sea and they just swim off, if you're trying to kill them. And also, I can't remember what season it is, but in one season he seems to travel from here to here really far apart in no time at all. So how would you do that unless you just swam all the way quick overnight? But why is Varys, if he's a mermaid, on land? Why? This is where the theory gets good. So this is why I quite like it. You can also see I'm quite into this, but the craziest idea is that he wants to melt the wall and flood the land, so they get a bigger kingdom. It's again a Game of Thrones. They want the Iron Throne to be underwater so they can be the Merlings, and basically everyone it drowns they can eat because they want to eat people. This is so true. And basically Varys could accomplish this by befriending Daenerys, which he's already done, getting her to melt the wall with her dragons, a Song of Fire and Ice, and to just flood everything so they can be rulers, basically. I quite like this one. There's also a little side note on this that they think that Littlefinger knows about Varys. That's why his ship's called the King Merlin, because he has all the power over Varys, because he could expose him and his big master plan. Obviously Littlefinger's now snuffed it thanks to Arya and Sansa, but I really like this theory, and I just think it's so crazy that why not, let's just chuck it out there. I kind of hope he is a merman, but I don't really want him to melt the wall and be a mer king, because again that's kind of just as crap as George R.R. Martin being Samwell Tarly reading the book at the end and being that was the Game of Thrones. So I mean, I like it, but not enough to want all of it to come true. But it's a good motive. I just want him to be stopped. So, to summarise, we've had Varys is a merman, Ned Stark is alive, Jon Snow is the prince who was promised, and Daenerys is secretly pregnant, Jon has his own dragons, Tyrion is a Targaryen, Sansa's definitely gonna die, Bran is the Night King, the Night King is the stranger / Simeon Star Eyes, Gendry's gonna be king at the end, Jaime the Kingslayer will kill the Night King, Jaime will kill Cersei, or Arya will kill Cersei as Jaime, take another one off her list, Cersei is pregnant with Euron's baby, and Samwell Tarly's been selling the story the whole time. To summarise, there are so many others that I've spent hours on the internet looking at them, but those are sort of my favourite that I picked out. There are so many others. Please tell me in the comments below what your favourite one is, which ones do you think are going to come true, and also the big question, obviously we get it over here early as the morning, are you that much of a fan that you watch it before work? I'm so tempted. I've just got my Now TV pass ready to do it. Do I watch it before work? Because I mean, the internet is dark and full of terrors. I don't want to see spoilers on Monday, and I will if I go on the internet. So do I have to avoid the internet all day, or do I just watch it early? I don't know. I think I might go for the early one, but let me know what you're doing and see how we go. But yeah, these are my Game of Thrones season 8 fan theories in prep for the launch. And if they all come true, they're obviously not just my theories, they're just sort of the ones I've pulled together, but I will be told you so. But yeah, so let me know in the comments below what you think, and if you like this video then subscribe.